Well, good morning. And I thought today I'd post a video, podcast, if you will. And I wanted to talk about something that is really very important to a lot of our clients and a lot of people we talk to. I get questions all the time about building homes and this velocity of capital I'm talking about. And I want to take you through it very quickly. One of the things that was very important to me was what was called the cash conversion cycle. A company called Dell that has made a comeback but did suffer from a change in their cash conversion cycle early in their history. Dell's original model was to have you order a computer before they'd even make it, and they'd have you pay for it before you'd take delivery, and even before the production line would start. And they'd have the pieces and parts in the warehouse, just sitting over there on consignment from the vendors who supplied the motherboards and the chips. That's a great model. They get $1,000 from you, and they don't have to pay anything to their vendors just yet. And $1,000 in their hands. And they start making the computer and consuming the parts from the warehouse to make that computer, and they get that computer out the door in 15 or 20 days and send it to you. They have your money. And then 30 days after that, they had to pay for their parts, the motherboard, the screen, whatever it may be. And at the end of the day, they had a cash conversion cycle that was negative. They never had inventory on the books, just sitting there consuming their capital. They never had to pay for parts in advance. A negative cash conversion cycle. They'd take your money and then spend it and have money left over and make a big profit. And that stock was enormously highly valued early on, but then they changed their business model. They started paying for parts up front. They started waiting to make you pay for your computer until after it was delivered or as it was delivered, or they provided financing or terms. They had to be competitive. The market was changing around them. They were early. And after it was all said and done, they started spending $500 or $600 or $700 on parts. They started spending $30, $40, $50, $60 financing you through a factoring company. Then they'd get your money. And their cash conversion cycle started to go positive. And then even worse after that, they started building inventory in preparation for sales that had not yet occurred, and their cash conversion cycle even went more to the positive. For those of you who know the story or want to research it, feel free. Dell almost went out of business. What does that have to do with building homes? Everything. I cannot tell you how fortunate our team has been in meeting some of the best people that we could possibly work with. Great architects and designers, unbelievable builders. And I can say, for the record, pre-pandemic, during pandemic, and now post-pandemic, of that broader team that we have put together for the clients that come to us. Every home they've designed, every home the builders built, has sold before it was completed. In many cases, it sold while it was still dirt on the ground. And let's talk about the cash conversion cycle. Maybe you saw my video on Instagram where I talked about how I earned a client 41% in less than 2 years, nominally. But what we left out of that particular discussion, which I need to discuss with you now on this podcast because we'll be posting it on Instagram soon enough, is what happens when the cash conversion cycle on one of these new construction projects changes and that the cash conversion cycle runs negative. That is, we're not putting out as much capital to build that home as otherwise. Let's say that we buy a piece of land for $1.5 million. Now let's just think cash, keep it simple. No banks, keep it simple. You don't really need banks to have high leverage, unless that's your thing. You're not going to make more money on the home at the closing table because you're using leverage. You're going to have less capital deployed and have a higher rate of return on your deployed capital. Everybody knows that. But what if you do it this way? Velocity of capital. If you buy a lot for $1.5 million and you design a beautiful home, which the wider team that we work with has apparently figured that model out, and let's say you pre-sell that home, even before it comes out of the ground. Let's just use that example, because it's happened to us 5 times in the last 3 years. It was dirt and it sold. Construction begins. You have $1.5 million deployed in the land. The foundation goes in, and you receive a payment from the purchaser of that home, who's influencing the interior design and features if they want to. They're having a good time doing it. We have a very precise model for finalizing the specifications and coming to comfortable agreements. And they put on deposit $250,000, and the amount of capital goes down. And then you start framing, and the home gets topped out, and they put in another $250,000. And the windows and doors arrive and get installed, and they put in another $250,000. And then we reach final framing, when the county says, okay, all the electric's roughed in, the plumbing's roughed in, everything looks good to go, you can go ahead and put drywall up, cover the walls, and finish the house. And they put in $550,000 more dollars. The amount of capital that you have deployed has been significantly reduced. And then you finish the home, close, and it's not dissimilar to bank financing, perhaps not as leveraged. But when it comes time to pre-sell those homes, are you selling at the market plus? Or are you selling at the market minus? To move your capital more quickly, the worst thing in the world is to put a home on the market at higher than the market comparatives and to have it sit and sit and sit and go to the rental market and rent and rent and rent. There is a better way. We know it. It's built on the cash conversion cycle and velocity of capital through the system. And if you want to make money in real estate on 30A, if that's your goal, then you probably ought to give us a call.